Greetings, all. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition, and I call this presentation What to Eat and What Not to Eat. So, we're going to talk about the Blue Zone diet, the diet that's followed by those people living in the Blue Zone, and the diet that is essentially recommended by the Harvard Medical School and basically every nutrition and cancer prevention and public health group in the world. And then we're going to talk about the standard American diet, which is referred to sometimes as the westernized diet. This pattern of eating originated here in America, but unfortunately has spread throughout the world. You can see on the right the standard American diet. About 94% of it consists of animal product and processed foods. And we'll take a look at some of those pictures to see exactly what I mean by processed foods. And unfortunately, only about 6% is whole plant food. If you include French fries in there, then it goes up to 11%. But French fries probably should not be, although I do like French fries. uh, and then the Blue Zone diet, about 95% is what they recommend, the Blue Zone researchers. At least 95% of our diet should be based in whole plant food. So again, what does this mean? We'll take a look at some pictures so you understand. And 5%, maybe 10% of your diet can consist of animal product or refined carbohydrate. That's usually what I shoot for, the 90%. The blue zones are at the 95% level, so um, only 5% comes from pretty high quality animal product that they use. Um, so animal products, this is what we mean. In the United States, chicken is the number one form or the most heavily consumed animal product. We eat 1 million chickens an hour here in the United States. The other one's beef, pork, dairy, eggs, other forms of meat. Um, and that makes up a bulk of our calories. And then the other processed foods, all the white flour products, things like breads, rolls, cakes. Again, we'll take a look at some pictures. Processed corn, processed fruit, sugar, soda, alcohol. So that is, 94% of the standard American diet. This is the greatest public health threat, not only in the United States, but now in the world. If you can switch over to this style of eating, most of the health risks that we face would be eliminated or at least greatly reduced. So this is from Harvard, obviously, you can see there. This is their version of the Blue Zone diet. This is what they recommend. Um, what you'll notice here that is different from what the USDA recommends is that there's no dairy on this, although some of the Blue Zones do enjoy a little bit of dairy. Overall, you do not need dairy in your diet. African Americans and Asian Americans should probably avoid it because there seems to be a high level of lactose intolerance among those ethnic groups. Caucasians can tolerate it. By Caucasians, I mean those folks that come of European descent. And maybe some other folks can tolerate small amounts of dairy, but certainly no one needs it. And we'll talk more about that. So, fruits, vegetables, real whole grains, and we'll take a look at some of those pictures and, what they refer to as healthy proteins. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So they have healthy oils up there. There are certainly benefits to replacing things like butter with olive oil, but overall, we'll talk a little bit more about oil. You should probably avoid oil as well. A lot of the benefits associated with oils were exaggerated a bit. This is Dr. Andrew Weil. He has it's basically the same thing as Harvard, just a little bit more information. He's got some information about um, cooked Asian mushrooms, a little bit more information about soy food. So things like edamame, which is good, soy nuts, some of the tofu and some of that it might be a little bit too heavily processed. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But he also includes things like healthy herbs and spices, and I'll talk more about those next week. Really, he recommends supplements. He also sells supplements. I'm not big on nutritional supplements. We'll talk about those again next week. And actually, Harvard recommends a glass of red wine a day too, but limit it to no more than one or two. And we'll talk a little bit more about dark chocolate again. But again, it's mostly plant-based diet, whole plant foods, whole grains, beans, legumes, vegetables, fruits, some nuts to get your healthy fats in there. If you choose to, you can go to a pure vegan diet. I would recommend this website, pcrm.org, for evidence-based information about the benefits of going on a pure plant-based diet. This is the original diet. This is the original plate, and the USDA essentially took this and they removed the legumes and put in protein. So for some reason that seemed to make sense to them, and it was primarily because the USDA represents the interests of the food industry, the food production industry, essentially. So um, that was why they kind of had to make that switch. Uh, Talk a little bit about factory farms. I'm not going to go too deep into this. In fact, if you want to read through this, pause this presentation and just read through this. But it's basically how the meat is produced now, and it's much different than the meat that was produced 50 years ago. Instead of being on small local family farms, they just have these huge um, factories essentially where they're with thousands of animals where they're producing all these meat, and we'll take a look at some pictures. So some of the benefits: most cancers are preventable. 90%, 95% of cancers are preventable. A lot of cancer is related to tobacco use and alcohol use, of course, but healthy diet, or excuse me, dietary causes of cancer are very prevalent, unfortunately. Cardiovascular disease is now, we know, not only preventable but reversible. And some of the videos that we're going to watch this week are going to discuss that in more detail, along with type 2 diabetes. For those of us that are a little bit younger and we're not worried about the diseases associated with old age quite yet, allergies, asthma can be relieved and prevented using a healthy diet. Depression, anxiety are both affected very much by diet, without question. Arthritis, especially rheumatoid arthritis. In fact, both. The pain associated with arthritis. Keep your weight down, obviously. Body mass index, BMI. I'm not going to discuss this here, but that is still a relevant tool. I would recommend that you check that out and make sure that you try and keep yourself at a healthy body mass index. It's still a very good tool of predicting premature illness and death. And actually, there's benefits to following a plant-based diet for people diagnosed with really extreme chronic conditions, things like multiple sclerosis. And of course, there's evidence that anything that's good for your heart is going to be good for your brain. And preventing dementia and Alzheimer's disease can be important. I would recommend, as much as you can, try and eat organic food. A couple different groups recommend that, including the President's Cancer Panel. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So it's just a good idea to try and eat, organic plant-based foods. And the recommendation from the President's Cancer Panel is, if you do eat meat, eat free-range meat. Eat meats that were not raised in factory farms. And there's a chemical called BPA, bisphenol A, that's found in all canned food, or most canned foods, and a lot of plastic drinks. So avoid canned food as much as possible. If you do use a microwave, and you have, sometimes microwavable foods come in that black plastic, take it out of that black plastic and put it into a glass container when you're microwaving it. You probably shouldn't be eating that food anyway, though. Fruits and vegetables, 9 servings a day. That's what Harvard recommends. Some groups go as high as 13 servings a day to prevent cancer. And they say eat the rainbow, eat a variety, different types, different colors, locally grown. Go visit your local farmer's market. Try and get organic. If you can't get organic, conventional is fine. Organic just means that it's raised without the use of chemicals, certain chemicals. So, and if you can't get organic, that's okay. Conventional is okay. Frozen vegetables are great. I highly recommend those. It's a great way to save money. Keeps the food fresh. I use frozen vegetables all the time. But don't use these. This does not count as vegetables. Okay, veggie chips, Hot Pockets. That's not your. If you're getting your daily serving of vegetables from these groups, you should reconsider your strategy. The Campbell soup. Yes, there's vegetables in there, but there's also loaded with sodium. BPA, that chemical bisphenol A, is lining the can of that food. Plus, it's very heavily processed. Whole grains. These are some good pictures of whole grains. Steel cut oatmeal is a great way to start your breakfast. Throw some fruit in there, and I like a little honey or some other form of sugar. um, or whole grain pasta. As long as it has a lot of fiber in it, it's okay. Um, that real rich brown bread is great. Try and make sure that it's actual whole grain and it actually has fiber in it. Quinoa is how you pronounce that. Brown rice is great. That label that you see, 100% whole grain, they have that on a lot of the foods now, so try and look for that. And if you look at that nutrition label to the bottom right corner there, you look about halfway down under the total carbohydrate, it says 26 grams, and then under that it says dietary fiber of 4 grams. You want to make sure that your food has fiber in it. Okay, if you're buying anything that looks like this, make sure it has at least 3 or 4 grams of fiber in it. Not this. This is not healthy food. The pancake mixes, again, processed flour is probably not ideal anyway. But if you're going to eat it, make sure that it has fiber in it. That Bisquick has no fiber in it. Same thing with the Quaker instant oatmeal. There's probably no fiber in that. Plus, it's got a lot of sugar in it. Um, Obviously, the bagels and the white bread, that's all pure white flour, and the reaction that it has in your body is very similar to sugar. And if you look at those Lucky Charms, even though it says whole grain guaranteed, and if you look down the ingredients, it says whole grain oats, but then you look over at the dietary fiber, and it's only 1 gram of fiber and 11 grams of sugar. Okay, so and 2 grams of protein. If you look at the steel cut oatmeal, it's probably 4 or 5 grams of fiber and 10 grams of protein. Okay, a cup of corn. If you look at a cup of corn, um, 16 grams of protein, 12 grams of fiber, 8 grams of fat. But if you look at Trix, which is supposed to be made from whole grain corn, it only has 1 gram of fiber, 1 gram of protein, and only 1.5 grams of fat. The fat that comes from corn is healthy fat. It's plant-based fat. So this is just heavily processed corn mixed with sugar and chemicals. So please be careful when you're eating these foods. So when they talk about carbohydrates and low carbohydrate foods, what they're talking about really is avoiding the high glycemic index foods, things like potato chips and biscuits and cakes and ice cream. I love dates, and that's one of the, I don't eat a lot of processed food, so dates are fruits, I think. Some kind of a plant food, and they're very healthy. There's nothing wrong with those. Potatoes, white potatoes, are not ideal, but the Okinawans, which is referred to as I forget what ground zero for longevity. Okinawa, Japan, about 60% of their diet is sweet potato. So I eat sweet potatoes every day. I think they're fantastic. Watermelon, believe it or not, is used as a treatment for erectile dysfunction because it's so good at essentially cleaning out your cardiovascular system and helping the flow of your cardiovascular system that it's used as a treatment for erectile dysfunction, which is essentially a very big warning sign for cardiovascular disease. So, be careful with high glycemic index food. If you choose to eat animal products, these are the types of animals that you should be getting your meat from. Okay, um, there's a lot of benefits to consuming natural deer that was hunted, meat that was hunted, rather than the stuff that came out of factory farms. So look for that free range, organic, free range, grass fed cattle, or free range chickens. Not this stuff. These are some pictures of some factory farms. And you can see that, animals are not supposed to live like this. There's a movement now towards more sustainable forms of agriculture. There are some states in which the pigs are actually not allowed to go outside, that they're required to be in those containment cages their whole lives. And those chickens you see in the bottom right corner, that's actually a very good case scenario. At least the windows are open in this facility. In most cases, they're not. And you can see that when you have animals like this, it's just essentially a petri dish for disease. And this is why we have issues with swine flu and bird flu, avian flu, especially when they combine together, because we have pig operations right next to chicken operations, and it's happening where we get these viruses that are starting in one and mixing with the other, and we get these kind of hybrid viruses, and pandemic influenza is a very big threat. So we need to start to think about this. Eat this: seeds, nuts, Flax seeds are wonderful. I don't have a picture of them up here, but you can buy whole flax seeds. You take them home, you put them in a blender, you ground them up real nice. It takes about 10 seconds for it to grind up, and then just store it in the freezer in a little baggie and take a tablespoon out. That's all the omega-3 fatty acids that you really need. But walnuts are great. These other almonds are good. I use, organic peanut butter. I'm not a big fan of tofu. Organic soy, soy products are great. Tofu is a little heavily processed, but certainly not as bad as this stuff. This is the nasty stuff. This is to colon cancer what tobacco is to lung cancer. These foods are so heavily linked to colon cancer that even one serving a day will elevate your risk by about 20%. So just please avoid this as much as possible. And I know people are shocked to see this sometimes. The public schools, for the most part, still celebrate Hot Dog Day. But the World Health Organization just came out and said essentially processed meats are now considered to be carcinogenic and they should be avoided. The processed chicken is probably the worst. So that should probably be the first thing off your list. But the rest of this stuff is just as bad. The peanut butter isn't quite as bad, obviously, but the heavily processed peanut butter has a lot of sugar in it, and there might be some other issues as well. Fruits, wonderful. The original fast food, right? Not you want to eat more vegetables than fruits, but I would say if you're shooting for 9 servings of fruits and veggies a day, 3 servings of fruit, and 6 servings of vegetables. That's probably a pretty good target. If you have type 2 diabetes, maybe a little bit less fruit. Certainly not this. And the reason I put this whole presentation together originally was because one of my students told me that she was trying to eat healthier. She was trying to include more fruit, so she's eating more fruit roll-ups. All right, fruit roll-ups do not count as fruit. Even though it says made with real fruit at the top, these things do not count. And Skittles, when they say eat the rainbow, we're talking about, fruit, not not this candy. All right. If you choose to consume dairy products, and again, nobody needs to consume dairy products. You do need calcium, but you can get calcium from beans and from plenty of other sources. If you do choose to consume dairy products, try and get, as I said, organic. If not, there are other sources of calcium. All these are other. Again, these are pretty heavily processed, so they wouldn't be the first thing on my recommendation list, but it's certainly better than this stuff. This is the heavily, heavily processed dairy products that you certainly want to avoid. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine put this ad here in the middle: prostate, play hardball against prostate cancer. I think it was the Indianapolis 500. They went to that stadium or wherever they hold it, and they put these posters above every urinal in the station or in the stadium. Prostate is part of the male reproductive system, so that's why they were targeting the men, obviously, for this. So they according to this group and several other sources, prostate cancer is very heavily linked to both dairy products, but also animal products as well, red meat especially. And nobody needs that heavy whipping cream. A little bit of ice cream occasionally is okay, but just be careful about what you're putting in your daily foods every day. And again, nobody needs to eat yogurt. I don't know why this dessert got this such a great reputation for being health food, but all those probiotics that they talk about in yogurt, you can get them. First of all, you need prebiotics, which is high fiber food. As long as you're eating high fiber food, you don't need to add probiotics because all those probiotics will just occur naturally in your gut. So eat the foods that are going to help sustain the probiotics on their own. You don't need to add probiotics to your diet. Again, if you like to have a little dairy occasionally, a little organic ice cream is okay occasionally. I like sorbet, frozen fruit. Again, it's loaded with sugar. It's an occasional treat. When they talk about dark chocolate and the benefits of dark chocolate, what they're really talking about is that product in the middle there. I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize. It's basically cocoa powder. And that's what you should try to cook with. Sprinkle a little bit of that over your strawberries or whatever. It's a nice treat, or put it in your smoothies. If not, 70% dark chocolate is what you should shoot for if you're getting candy bars. These Edie fruit bars aren't great, obviously, but when you need a treat, if you have a sweet tooth like me, you need a little treat occasionally. Try and avoid this stuff. I put Big League Chew up there because I used to eat mounds of that stuff when I was a kid. and I don't eat it anymore, obviously. All these chemicals, these chemicals that they use to create these colors, have been linked to a number of health conditions, including attention deficit disorder. A lot of these chemicals are banned in other countries, including the European Union, because of their link, their association with attention deficit disorder. So, but they have not been banned here yet, unfortunately. Again, please go to nutritionfacts.org for some more information about that. They have a really nice video presentation. And those blizzards, like I said, a little bit of ice cream is okay. I think those blizzards are like 1,000 calories. Water, 8 glasses a day. That's still a pretty good recommendation. It depends on how big you are and how much you exercise, but try and get, I would say 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. If you get a lot of exercise, more is better. Or tea, or coffee, as long as you're not putting heavy cream in it. I like a little cinnamon and vanilla extract in my coffee, and that's pretty much all I have. It's 0 calories. That might be like 20 calories. Vegetable juicer is okay. Um, I actually use a Vitamix now. I don't have a picture of it up here. It's an expensive mixer, and it just basically obliterates the food into a nice smoothie. And the difference between a Vitamix and a juicer is that the Vitamix includes the fiber, and the juicer, you are removing all the fiber and you're just taking the juice. And including the fiber has a lot more benefits to it. A glass of wine or a glass of beer, okay, not all four of those beers, but one glass of beer is okay, all right? Um, not this stuff. There is no health benefit whatsoever to drinking soda or diet soda. Diet soda is not a health food. Okay, there are plenty of issues associated with diet sodas. Okay, I mean it's phosphoric acid essentially. Um, all those Snapples are loaded with sugar, even the ones that aren't. Please be careful because they have a lot of colorings in them. Those Starbucks coffees are like 500 calories each. That St. Ides malt liquor, that's 4 or 5 drinks in one, I think. It's at least 2 or 3 anyway. Again, nobody needs Gatorade. Nobody needs sports drinks. Any benefit that you can get from a sports drink, you can get from raisins or other dried fruits, or I'll talk about some other things. I have another presentation from whole plant foods. You get all the same, more of the benefits. And this is what the Olympic athletes are actually using now. They don't use Gatorade. They take beets and they put them through a juicer and they use the beet juice. They call it nitrate loading. So you do not need that junk. It's just sugar and chemicals. That's all. Common myths. Plant foods contain incomplete proteins, and animal products must be consumed to obtain all those required proteins. That myth has been dispelled for decades. There's no such thing as an incomplete protein. Plant foods contain all of those amino acids. They call them incomplete proteins because there's certain amino acids that you have to get from your foods. I think there are 9 amino acids that they call them essential amino acids because you have to get them from the foods that you eat. And some of the plant foods do contain lower levels of some of those amino acids, but they are present in all plant foods. So there's no reason, nobody needs to consume animal products. There's a vitamin called vitamin B12, which I'll talk about in a minute. They talk about, and I've seen this in almost every textbook that I've used, which is why I will not use a textbook for this course. They always say vegetarians are at risk of protein deficiency. There has never been a case of a vegetarian experiencing protein deficiency. Protein deficiency is starvation. There's no such thing really as a protein deficiency. The World Health Organization recommends that we get between 5 to 10% of our calories from protein. That is very easily attainable. 10% seems to be the recommendation from all these different groups. About 80% carbohydrate, 10% protein, 10% fat. And the fat, of course, should come from plant-based sources. Vegans are at risk of a vitamin B12 deficiency, but you can get that through nutritional yeast or dietary supplements. And just go to nutritionfacts.org and type in B12, and they'll tell you the best sources. So if you do go on a pure vegan diet and you're there for 3 years, you are at risk. So just be careful. And the idea of healthy fats. Harvard talks a lot about healthy fats like olive oil, and that's deceiving. Replacing animal fats or saturated fats with plant-based fats, such as olive oil, does have health benefits. So if you get rid of the butter and you start dipping your bread in olive oil, there's definitely health benefits to that. Um, but the diets that are used to reverse cardiovascular disease, they do not use olive oil. In fact, there's no oil that are used in those diets. It's a pure plant-based diet. They when they do get the fats, like I said, walnuts or flax seeds, other nuts. Um, there's some algae-based sources of fatty acids. I don't even bother. I mean, I have small amounts of animal product in my diet anyway, so I'm not a pure vegan. So I'm not really concerned about this. But that's pretty much it. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Take care.